Hello, my loves. Hello, hello, hello. My name is Destina. This is Spiritually Bougie Astrology, and we're going to be taking a look at the astrological transits of May 1st through May 7th. And babies, this is going to be an interesting week. This is going to be a lot for a lot of people. We're coming off of a very internalized week. There were things literally midway through that last week of April that was triggering. We had trauma, frustrations, regret, remorse, a lot of things from deep emotions that were brought to the surface, deep wounds that were being brought to the surface and have just been rattling us in a multitude of ways. As we got to the end of the week and we got into that 29th, the 30th, the 31st, going into the first, going into today. I said 31st, didn't I? The 28th, the 29th, the 30th, going into the first, we went into, we had little things that we needed to distract us. We had events. We had, that out of town trip. We had our kids for the weekend, and we just put all of our energy into this distraction, this energy, this situation, because we needed a bit of a reset. But it is a bit of a reset. It wasn't a full reset. And I'm going to compare this reset to an Etch-a-Sketch. Whenever we were kids and we had our Etch-a-Sketch, we turned it on and we make our little artwork and we would fill it up with lines and squiggles and everything else. And then sometimes we needed to clear the screen, just do it all over again. So we shake it real hard to clear the screen. This weekend wasn't the hard shake. It was that time whenever we were kids that we wanted to see how many shakes it took to clear the screen. So we just went 1, 2, 3, 3. We see just what is gone, but there's remnants of stuff still there. We went out of town, we came back, and suddenly we could smell the house. Everything we've been nose blind to, we're like, oh, well, I gotta clean. I need to Febreze the fabric. Like the house is clean, but there's still a smell. It's like, oh, the dogs smell. Like, there's something there. There's the project that's still unfinished. The laundry's still unfinished. There's something remaining that we got to come back to. Now, it's eclipse season, and I'm not going to hide that. It's eclipse season, and this is not the eclipse video. So I'm not going to put a whole lot of emphasis on the eclipse. Because when I was meditating on the transits that's leading up to the eclipse, there was something else that was coming through that felt much more peculiar, feeding into it, an area where we need to get clear on something, where we need to be advised on something, where we need to see something very much differently. And that's going to start to really come through on Monday. Now, I do meditate on the charts. I meditate on the transits, and I wait for certain energies to come through. There are some times that I purposely wait to record these episodes because I want the moon to be in a certain sign, because I want to feel that energy before I ever let anything come out of my mouth. I want to have very clear information. And there's one other major transit that literally lasts all week that feeds into the timeline of the eclipse that I'm going to put a lot more emphasis on, because I feel like it's going to be a big part of what feeds into the eclipse energy as it takes place, not just the eclipse itself. So first, we're going to talk about that particular transit, because we literally will be dealing with it all week. And that is the square between Neptune and Venus. When it comes to Neptune transits, there's a lot of things that can be tied to it. There is fogginess, there's a cloudiness, there are things that are not easily understood, there are confusion, there can be deception, there can be lies, there can be things that are not completely truthful that need to be rethought and refocused on, and we need to put certain energies towards that. For other people, it can be very, very spiritual, a very spiritual need to connect with things. And it's the thing about Neptune is it's true spirituality, not church. Just to be very, very clear, the way that we connect with the elements, the way we connect with the deeper parts of our emotions and our inner child, oh, that is all like Neptune's energy of like, let's deep, deep dive into the area that cannot clearly be seeing the light and mess with it. And it is Neptune's energy that can feed into that areas of the spirit that can lead to awakenings and transformations and can lead to the stuff that can be very much tied to Pluto. Now, I want to talk about transformation for just a second because I've had every intention in the past to do a transformation episode and I haven't been able to do it yet. And in the future, I will. But I have gone through a dark night of the soul. I've been spiritual my entire life, but I went through a dark night of the soul. And I'll be honest, the lingering effects of that dark night of the soul really lasted for a good 2.5 years. It took a long time for me to start to feel solid and normal again on a mental level, on an emotional level, on a spiritual level. Like it took a while. Not everybody can take that long. That's the truth. And more people are wanting to experience transformation and experience those areas, but they're looking for the fast forward button. When I talk about some of the transits this week, when I talk about transformation, there's going to be an element tied to it to explain how people do the fast forward. And that fast forward is usually tied to substances, alternative medicines, natural medicine, more so than alternative. I should say it that way. But a lot of people, to experience those changes, they use a substance. In other areas, we've had a lot of emotional cloudiness come through. And I'm going to give a continuous set of 3 examples throughout the week. But I want to be very, very clear. Not everybody is going to go through just one of these areas. In some of the examples that I provide, they might not even play out in the way that I provide them. However, there's something there. You could have 1 or 2 areas of deception come through, and you suddenly see like your best friend finds out that the boyfriend she's been dating that you hate, that you absolutely hate, that he's been cheating the whole time, and you're on this side going, yes, boy, bye. I am sick of you. And we're gonna be super ecstatic about it, but we also need to be ecstatic about it in the right way. Just to be clear, for some of us, we're gonna be super thrilled with the way this week goes. For others, we're going to hit peaks in certain parts of the energy. We're going to have certain disruptions keep hitting us to where we hit like an emotional breaking point. And that's not going to be fun. A lot of us are going to find exactly what I was explaining before. It's going to be the deception, but you're going to be the heartbroken one. You're going to be the one that has been getting deceived. I'm going to use 3 continuous examples this week. Now, I'll throw in some mundane examples too. But I'm going to flow this week with 3 continuous examples because for a lot of people, I feel like as we start the week, as we get into Monday, we get into this energy of like chain events and chain effects that immediately tie into the eclipse. And the big reason as to why is because of one of the Monday transits. So I'm going to go ahead and put the screen up. So it is Monday. I'm still trying to like fathom the fact that it's Monday. I like Monday though. Monday's like really good. Monday starts really good. It does start really good. So I've got this. It's at 8 a.m. Central Time, May 1st. The moon is in Virgo. It's going to go through a trine from Uranus, a sextile from Mars. We had this Uranus-Mars sextile all weekend, which led into some of that distractions that we just did. Monday morning, for a lot of people, it just kind of feels like we're in the coffee room, the break room. We're around the coffee pot. We're just we're doing our Monday morning kind of recap going, what did you do this weekend? Oh, I had my kids. We went to We went to the zoo and we went fishing. We went to the lake. We just did all these things. It was so much fun. I'm so glad I got to have my kids this weekend. It was so awesome. We had such a great weekend. Oh, that's awesome. That's great. My kid had prom. I took her out, we did her nails, got her hair done, had her makeup professionally done. We put all this energy into her prom. It was like so much fun. You're showing the pictures, you're doing all the stuff, and then here comes somebody else. What'd you do this weekend? I went jeeping. I literally have friends jeeping right now. I even said that in last week's episode. That was one of my examples, so I'm just carrying that one over. I went jeeping. I went on some trails I've never done before, and you start showing those videos and those pictures, and it's like everybody. Here's my baby. Here's my puppy. Here's my jeep. Here's this. Here's this. Like it's fine. Monday morning, I'm good. A lot of us are good. We're just kind of feeling that carryover from the energy. We're sharing that recent experience. It feels really good. Now, for some of us, we went out of town. We had a work thing. We did a girls' trip. We had a funeral. We went to grandma's house. We went and saw our nieces, our nephews. Like we did something and we weren't connected. We weren't in the same level of connection. It's not that we didn't want to be connected. It was just there was something, just the right type of distraction that kind of, it was the shakes. It was those 3 shakes of the Etch-a-Sketch that just kind of, the frustrations that we were feeling on Tuesday and Wednesday, that once we got to do something different was just kind of like, you know what? Shake it off. Shake the funk. That's what we did. And we're coming back. And there's something about midday, right after lunch, that we get an idea. We get inspired. We want to talk about something. We get something going through. We're either trying to focus on work and we're getting those orders, and you're just trying to focus, and you're driving down the road and you hear that song that reminds you of that person, and you're just like, click, I'm not doing that. You grab your work bestie and you guys go to lunch and you're like, so the other thing that happened this weekend that I didn't tell everybody else that I just wanted to tell you is I met somebody that's actually done an ayahuasca experience. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. That's so cool. And you go through the rabbit hole and you're like, I can't wait because I've been wanting to try it. They had a really good experience. I trust them. Tonight when I get home, I'm just going to deep dive into the information. I'm going to go through Reddit and YouTube and blah, blah, blah. And you already know you're doing that. You make that decision midday. If you've been out of town all weekend, you got to spend all the time with your coworkers or with your girlfriends or your family, and you weren't clued into your relationship, and you think about that. You realize that and you're like, oh yeah, you know what? I think I'm just gonna surprise them tonight, and I'm just gonna go over there and I'm gonna make them dinner. And I just wanted, I want to make sure that we're good and we're solid. I'm feeling better. I want to, make things solid between us. And we just get that idea. And then we continue through the day. Now, let's bump this by hour. Here is that square from Venus. That again, that's literally, this is 12:08 Central Time. So you're at lunch with your bestie, like I said. You're eating your salad at your desk and you're like, you know what? I think I'm gonna make dinner for my boyfriend. You're driving down the road and you hear that song and you're like, click. Damn it. There's something there. It's a little thing. Now, there's a couple other transits to Monday. And it's not just the Uranus-Mars part. It's not just the Venus. We got to talk about Neptune. We got to talk about the Mercury Cazimi. And we got to talk about Pluto. Okay? First, let's talk about that Mercury Cazimi. Here is Mercury and the Sun in the sign of Taurus. They will make their conjunction at 11 degrees of Taurus. And if you've listened to previous episodes, I have clearly stated Venus and Mercury are mutual reception. Anything that's happening to Venus is happening to Mercury. Anything that's happening to Mercury is happening to Venus. And the thing about the Mercury Cazimi, and this is a retrograde Cazimi, is that it's kind of like driving in traffic. What happens is that the sun is furthest out. Mercury is going backwards in the sky, actually. It's coming this way. And we'll come into the heart of the sun and we get clarity on something. I actually compare a Mercury cazimi to traffic. You're driving into due west and it's sunset. You got your hat on, you got your sunglasses on, you got your visor down. You're up in this weird angle and you're like trying to see just the road. And you're trying to you get higher and higher trying to hide the sun because it's just going down and it's going down. And there's nothing nearby. It's all open highway. You do this for a while and then all of a sudden you drive into a tree line area, or you go from highway traffic to finally you're in town. And the taller buildings create shade. And all of a sudden, you can see the road clearer. You can see your surroundings clearer. That's the cazimi moment. You have something come through that offers clarity. Mercury goes into the heart of the sun, and now there is something almost eclipse of information, of an idea, of a thought process, of something coming through and becoming very, very clear. However, I needed to talk about Venus and the moon right now. These two are both in Mercury ruled signs. There is an area we need to get clear on that we haven't been clear on quite yet. Venus is about to enter her square to Neptune. It starts on Monday. It will not be exact for a few days. And then the moon hits that little opposition to Neptune. Now, when Venus and the moon are in their square, this is literally like feeling I need to do something. It's inspiration. I want to go somewhere. I want to do something. I'm going to do this. It's all those little things. But there's another element to Monday that isn't triggered quite yet on Monday. And that is Pluto's going to turn retrograde. That's important because Pluto is one of the rulers of where the eclipse is going to be on Friday. So this tells me part of the energy of Monday and of this week feed into that eclipse. It's going to feed into it. Now, the moon is going to hit in opposition to Neptune. And going off of our three examples, our regret example, our substance example, we'll call it transformation, the transformation example, and our deception example, going off of these three. You get back to the office, you find out oh, well, we just had a call from somebody. I think you know them. There was a note in their account, you know them. And it's oh, okay. Who is it? Well, and they say a name or they say an address or they say whatever the repair was. And as soon as you hear the name, it's more than just that name. It's more than just that address. It's somebody that's tied to the regret. The person you regret, the situation that you regret, the thing that you keep trying to convince yourself that you're not in tune with, that you don't want anymore, but it's an ego thing. It's not a good way to convince. And the Mercury cazimi is offering that first glance of clarity to something. It's time to see the road differently. It's time to see traffic differently. It's time to see your surroundings differently. That's that cazimi part. Pluto just turned retrograde. That's the trigger part. There's an area that you don't fully understand. This is because it's a repair. You've already done the work a year ago. Now it's there's a leak. There's something not working correctly. I need warranty work. I need something. And you just know okay. Obviously I got to deal with it. It's my account. It's okay. Thanks. And the moon's opposition to Neptune is just oh, I wasn't expecting that. I didn't know that was going to happen. I didn't know they were going to call. Okay, fine. And just kind of dealing with it. If it is the transformation, then it's getting home, having dinner, and doing the deep dive. And you start going through the Netflix documentaries, and we're going through YouTube, and you're reading Reddit, and you're just diving into this information and this idea of a spiritual quest, so that way you can do some more spiritual healing and trying to understand more of this fast forward button in transformation, because that's kind of what we're talking about when we add in the substance element to transformation. We're looking for a fast forward button. If it's the dinner, you get to the friend's house, you get to the boyfriend's house, not a friend. You get to the boyfriend's house, he's not there, his roommate's not there. That's no big deal. You have a key. You go in. You start cleaning up a little bit. You get the kitchen ready. You're making dinner. You know what time he's going to get home. So you're just doing your thing. And while you're in this moment, you find something. Well, that's not supposed to be there. That's weird. This is a house with two guys in it. I don't know this ring. This isn't my ring. This is a lid, by the way. I just threw it down. Doesn't fit my finger. Like, it's not my ring. Just sitting on the sink. You see a bottle of perfume. That's not my perfume. I don't know. What is this? But it's in the bathroom. You see the coat rack and there's like a scarf or a handbag or something that's still there. And like, that's not my bag. And again, house with two dudes. That doesn't make sense. What is that? Huh. So you wait. And when the boyfriend gets there, like, hey, what's this? What's this ring? Whose bag is that? Whose is that? What's this? And the initial response, the initial answer is plausible. It makes sense. Oh yeah, Joe, poor Joe. I know I use the name Joe. Joe's the roommate in this experience. He's not the bad person. Oh yeah, Joe's dating again. Oh, Joe's sister was here last week. She came to town last week. You didn't even say anything? I miss his sister. I love his sister. We used to, and like, I'll have to give him a hard time later. Don't give him a hard time. You're going to make him feel self-conscious. Whoa. The level of reaction did not make sense to what you just said. Their response, their energy back, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't click. And you're just like, what is wrong with you? Nothing. Nothing's wrong. How much longer till dinner's done? Just a few minutes. It's fine. And you just, it's weird. It's a weird moment. It's weird. Just like, oh, what's this? Why? Okay. Well, that's weird. And as the night continues, there's these little moments of just like, nah. He's looking at his phone more. He's just doing something weird, and it's wrong. Should I not stay here tonight? Should I just go home? No, I want you to stay the night. No, you're fine. No, it's just me. No. Okay. So it's weird. There's something weird. The moon's opposition to Neptune is that weird. The moon's opposition to Neptune happening right as Pluto is turning retrograde. It's weird. The moon's opposition to Neptune while Pluto is turning retrograde and Mercury's going into a cazimi. It's weird, but it's also a light bulb moment. You don't connect all the dots quite here. I feel like as the week continues, we have this series of dots that start to get connected. So I'm going to bump this forward. Late in the evening, so just after midnight, the moon is going to go from Virgo into Libra. For between 1:30 and 3:30 in the morning, I'm just giving a range here, the moon in Libra is going to trine Pluto, a very newly retrograde Pluto. It's going to trine it. Now, for some people, this is going to be, if you stay the night with the boyfriend, it's getting up early so that way you can go home and get a change of clothes. But running into the roommate. Hey, I didn't see you last night. Oh, yeah, I work nights now. I'm working nights. It's just been long. Like, well, oh, he said that you started to date again. How's dating going? Or he said your sister was here. I miss your sister. I haven't seen her in so long. And they're clueless. They're so clueless about what you just said. They're like, my sister wasn't here. Or I'm not dating. I'm going to work full time. I'm going to school full time. I don't have time to date. I don't even have time to see myself in the mirror. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh. The likelihood of this happening at 3 something in the morning, not likely. The likelihood of something happening right after you wake up in the morning, more likely. all kind of depends on everybody's personal life, but it's like having that little moment of like, you've heard of a change, you start to, roast your friend about it a little bit, because that's what friends can do. We can roast each other, and we can do it without hurting each other's feelings. Like, oh, hey, I hear you're dating. Tell me all about it. Tell me what's going on. Tell me how your date went. Like, leave me alone. I want to talk about it. Meh. But you can do that with a friend. You start to give them a hard time. They have no idea what you're talking about. You don't get to roast them. You're not giving them a hard time, because they immediately have already said, that's not true. Even though that's not the words they use, they basically just said it to you. Well, that's not true. That's not right. That's not correct. I don't know what you're talking about. And it's an additional level of confusion, Venus square Neptune. Now, I want to also bring up that the cazimi is still lingering as we get into the second. Mercury's conjunction to the sun. We're still getting the light bulb moment. We're still seeing the switch. We're still seeing something differently. We're still seeing something for the first time, or refocusing our energy on little things that are coming through, mercurial things, the objects, the message, the body language, the communication. We're still seeing this in some way. Okay. Now, as for the rest of Tuesday, there's not a lot going on. The moon's going to make that trine to Pluto. It's, again, part of that light bulb energy, but there's just not a whole lot to Tuesday. Some of us were going to, have some little moment, like we're just going to, do our normal business, but we're going to continuously be thinking about this area of confusion. Why? Because Mercury is in mutual reception with Venus, because the moon is in Libra. Logic, Mercury; emotions, moon. Both are in Venus's signs. What is Venus doing? She's going into her square with Neptune. However, she's also entering her sextile from Jupiter. So we have some support, even with the cloud, even with the confusion. Now, if we weren't in the deception energy, if it was more along the lines of, we spent all night doing a deep dive in information, and now we're like, I want to do this. The moon's trine to Pluto is like calling your buddy from the weekend, going, hey, so when you had that ayahuasca experience, like, where'd you get your stuff from? I I want to do it. Oh, well, let me make some calls and I'll get back to you. And part of Tuesday, like literally just like waiting game, like waiting to hear back, waiting to hear something, waiting to know something. And what do we do whenever we're in our thoughts and just waiting and waiting and waiting? We're thinking and we're overthinking and we're imagining and we're going through the motions, and we're in our own head. We continue to be in our own head. If you just had that warranty call the day before, now it's the next day and you're like, I got another job. I can't make it over there today, but I can make it over there like in a day or two. I can make it over there after this job is done. Oh, okay. No problem. I'll see you when you get here. And we push it off for a few days. We push that off. We're not rushing to that situation, to that moment. And that is actually like the majority of Tuesday. We have like a minor thing in the morning, but it kind of sparks the overthinking and where our mind is going, and some of it's going to be illusionary and some of it's going to be imaginary, if it's the transformation stuff. Some of it is going to be like, why is he acting this way? Did I do something wrong? I thought coming back, like, I thought this would just kind of make us, I thought this would make things better, and it didn't make things better. I don't know what to do. And again, we're overthinking, and we're putting a lot of focus on this area of shadowing, of confusion. We had that conversation, we heard that voice, we know it's coming. We know we have to go check on that repair in a few days. We know we have to do this. And every time we stop focusing on whatever we're hammering or working on, the back of our mind, it just goes back to those situations and it keeps bringing it back to the forefront. And we're getting so confused, and it's just annoying, and it just keeps coming back and back and back. And God, that's a lot of Tuesday. I'm so serious. Tuesday, we are in our heads. We are in our heads, and it's not coming back down. Now, let's get to Wednesday, the 3rd. In the early parts of the day, the moon is going to hit this opposition to Chiron. And there's something that makes us have to adjust, that makes us have to like do something else. If you had initially said the day before you would go do the repair on this day, you're calling them back going, my car broke down, my truck broke down, I can't even get over there. Or if you're the girlfriend that stayed the night, the second night in a row, and you're just kind of like just trying to figure it out. Or you stayed at your house, but you're having a situation, your car's not working. There's something that kind of like creates a hump. Or you're getting to work, and your buddy, your bestie, your work bestie's coming up to you going, hey, did you hear back yet? Oh, no, I haven't heard back yet. But as soon as I do, I'll tell you. I'll let you know. It should be today. That kind of thing. That's the moon's opposition to Chiron. Oh, I had something pop up at work, and I'm not going to make it over to do your warranty thing today. It'll be tomorrow. I'm sorry, I got to put it off again. But it happens. It'll still be here whenever you get here. We don't always have to get mad about those things. The moon's opposition to Chiron, your car's not working, and you have to call your boyfriend going, I need to get it to the shop, but then I also need a car to get back and forth. I need help. Oh, okay. Well, get your car to the shop. You can drive my Jeep. You can have my Jeep for the day. Or for the next few days, I can just drive my work truck. Oh, you don't mind? No, you can have the Jeep. It's fine. I don't care. Just drive the Jeep. And we get it all worked out. And that's part of the early part of the 3rd. We have to like deal with something, face something, fix something, address something, just something pops up. Now, if your car broke down, you decided to take the day off from work because it's taking all day anyways. You're like, what are you going to do? I was like, well, I think I'm going to go get Kiki. I'm going to get my cousin. We're going to go do something. Oh, okay. Well, you guys have fun. I'm working late anyway, so you do your thing. And you're the girlfriend that is just trying to get things done. And your boyfriend just stepped up and he gave you the Jeep, and you're super excited because you're driving his big old Jeep, and you go pick up your cousin, and she's all like, yeah, Jeep, hopping in, super excited. Yeah, bump, topless, yes, topless weather, topless Jeep. We're super excited. Bump, looking down. And what is this? You're driving the Jeep. You're driving it. Therefore, you're on the driver's side. You're not in that passenger side. You're doing your thing. You're not looking for anything. You're just going through the motions. You've already had a rough morning of having to overcome something. Your car goes in the shop. You're driving his Jeep. You're just trying to feel better in the moment. And Kiki pulls out, whatever. I'm grabbing this. Whose vape pen is this? This is not a vape pen in my hand, by the way. Since when do you wear eyelash extensions? I don't wear eyelash extensions. And you have that little sticky eyelash thing. Weirdest thing, by the way, but I've seen a lot of people get caught cheating with eyelashes before. This is why I'm using this example now. And she got some eyelashes stuck in on her finger going, these ain't yours? No. Well, whose are they? I don't know. But it clicks. It clicks real fast. That square of Mars to the moon. Mars is in the moon's sign. Kiki's on your side. Kiki's Mars in this situation. Those aren't yours? Nope. And you get real quiet for the rest of the drive. You go you go to your tow date. And you're thinking about it, and you're overthinking about it. And she's like, you good? Nope. You gonna talk to him about it? I don't know yet. I don't know what I think. I don't know how I'm handling. I don't know how to handle this. I don't know. I don't know. Venus square to Neptune. I don't know. You didn't go do that repair. You didn't go to that warranty call. You know you didn't. You've put it off another day. You get home. You see the distraction that You've tried to convince yourself that you can make any relationship work. So you've literally been staying in a distraction that has popped up since that Mars retrograde last fall in November and December. And you're seeing this person in your house, you're getting those text messages from somebody, and it's just getting on your nerves. And you're like, I don't want to talk right now. Well, I don't want to talk right now. I don't want to do this right now. I need a moment. What's up your ass? Like, and the way that Mars energy responds is not the way the regret person would respond. The situation that you regret, in this situation, if you just said, I need space for myself, I'm like, okay, take your space. I get it. But this Mars energy, this distractible energy, they don't respond that way. And they start giving you a hard time, and they're hammering you, and they're messing with you, and it's frustrating you. And you get to the point you're like, you know what? I'm going home. I'm going to go to bed. I'm going straight to bed. Don't call me for the rest of the night. Click. If it's the transformation situation, and I'm using the transformation situation as like the most positive of this week, by the way. It's getting the call going, hey, I'm so sorry. It took all day. They didn't get back to me. We played phone tag. I'm so sorry. I wasn't trying to put you off. They can meet you. They just can't meet you tomorrow. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And you just, it feels you well. It's that exactly what you needed to hear. And it kind of feeds into like, yes, I'm going to finally get to experience this. Venus square Neptune. Now, we get into the later part of the evening. Now, for some people, this is the third going into the fourth. For all of us, it is. But for some people, some energy is going to play out on the third. For some people, this energy is going to play out on the fourth. Hear me out on how part of this is going to go. And I'm trying to get to the moon to just the right angle. Okay, here we go. On my screen, this is May 4th, 3 a.m. Central Time. The square of Neptune and Venus, it is coming exact. It will be exact on the 4th, but it's not exact in this moment. Here's how this energy is playing out. We have Neptune squaring Venus, Jupiter sextiling Venus. Venus is imposing her will onto the moon in Libra, in Venus's sign, as the moon hits this opposition to Jupiter. There has been confusion, but then there's been tangible support to this area surrounding somebody, and it's bugging you. And you didn't bring it up at dinner. You didn't bring it up at all, but you found a reason to stay the night with your boyfriend again, didn't you? He fell asleep. He sleeps hard. So what do you start doing in the middle of the night? You get his phone out and you know the code, and you're looking. You're thinking of everything. You're thinking of this weekend, and whenever you were so busy doing whatever you were doing, whether it was your training seminar or that extra time with your family and your nieces and your nephews, and you were just like so focused on the distraction, it didn't click in your head that every response this weekend was delayed by 4 or 5 hours, but they were also like the one word answers, which gets super annoying after a while. But it's like you sent pictures like, oh, hey, here's me and the kids, like me and my sisters, like we have so much fun, or I'm sitting out with my family, and you get the like. You didn't think anything of it at the time. You could text me, good night, not good night, not good night, I love you. It's night, if they answered at all. It's, how are you feeling? I'm tired. Okay, is everything, are we good? Fine. Okay, whatever. Just you leave it alone. You put all of your energy into that distraction. But now you've had 2 days of overthinking. And you're thinking of all the responses from the weekend. And you're thinking about that ring or the eyelashes or the vape pen or the scarf or the bag or the things that are popping up around the apartment that don't make sense, that pop up in his Jeep that don't make sense. The comment from the roommate that didn't line up with the explanation the night before. We start to overthink all of it, and now we need something die-hard tangible proof. This is that. We're hoping for the best, Jupiter, But we understand there might not be the best Venus square Neptune. We're hoping, we're searching, we go through his phone, and we find what we don't want to find. Only in this example, humor me. If you're in the transformation thing, it's sitting down with your significant other. This would be something more on the 3rd, not at 3:00 in the morning. So like it's after dinner, we're getting closer to that moon, connecting with Venus and Jupiter, but it's not exact. So you're telling your significant other, I went to that thing over the weekend, it was super cool, and I met somebody that had an ayahuasca experience, and you saw me the other night. I was like, me, whenever I find my rabbit hole, like I'm down the hole, and I'll tell you about it when I got back. Logically going through, like I'm researching. Oh, okay, you do you. Now that you've done you and you're coming back and you're like, I really want to try this. And what does your spouse say? What does your significant other say? I want to do it too. I'll do this with you. Jupiter's opposition to the moon can be very supportive, especially because it's sextiling Venus. Oh, you're already in the process. I'm with it. I'm here. I will do this with you. Yeah, like it's super exciting. You're like, yes, I want to do this. I want to do this with somebody. I would love to do this with somebody that I love. Yes, this is perfect. I'm meeting the person tomorrow to get the stuff. Let's say it that way. Get the medicine. Positive example. If it's the regret, it's getting lost in the sauce. That recollection, the memories, the way it smelled, the way the conversations went. You're going back through old pictures, you're going back through video, you're going back through something, or something else pops up and that person that you regret shows up in your newsfeed. You got them blocked, yet still they're in your newsfeed. And you see how they've changed, or you see where they're at now. And you have those areas of regret and remorse, but then you go through that TikTok feed because you didn't realize you still had them on TikTok, and you start to see all of these changes and all of these other things. You get onto Twitter, or you unblock somebody on Facebook, and you start going through their stuff, and there's like this nostalgia and yet this hope and this desire, and it just kind of overwhelms you. And there can be a lot of emotions to this night. And it really can be a mix of any of these three for a lot of people, but I'm sticking to my 3 examples, like I said at the beginning of the video. Oh, now the thing about the 4th is that, again, this moon's opposition to Jupiter, the trine from Venus, the square between Neptune and Venus, this again is 3:00 in the morning. This is not all going to happen at 3:00 in the morning. Again, there's going to be some people having really cool conversations on the 3rd. I want to have this experience. I want to have it too. Let's do this together. Like super excited. Then there's the other ones like, I miss, I regret. I'm tired of that situation, that distraction. I'm tired of that. And you can't keep hiding that from yourself anymore. You've been trying to push it down for so long, but you can't. Saturn is in Pisces, Mars is in Cancer. You can't. You can't. And you have to start to accept that certain emotions are real. Certain emotions are very real. And that's when we get into the next part of the 4th. Now, after the moon leaves its opposition to Jupiter, the moon goes void, but it's in the middle of the night. So it's really not going to do a whole lot to a lot of people. This is 10 a.m. Central Time, May 4th. The moon between 9:15 and 10 a.m. is going to go into Scorpio, and that's Central Time again. So anywhere, if you're Eastern, add an hour. If you're more Western, start subtracting. This is Central Time. The moon, 10 a.m. Central Time, goes into Scorpio and immediately hits that square to Pluto. 2 days ago, you told somebody, I can't make it over there today. It'll be a day or two. Guess what? It's 2 days later. The moon hits that square to Pluto. You're back in that place. There's a familiarity to it. Pluto rules Scorpio. This is why there's a familiarity to it. oh yeah, we're getting the house ready to sell, and we were trying to get some things done, but I noticed like that there's spots are coming up again. I'm wondering if the roof is leaking, or there's this over here. Oh, and I want you to take a look at this like stuff on the outside. Like somebody's got a huge list for you to do, and you're taking it in, and you're clued into the immediate. But the thing about Scorpio is there, even though it's a fixed sign, there's a duality to it. And we're remembering those other things. We're recalling the last time we were here, the last family dinner at that table, the last time that you watched TV there, the last time you were there and you were with that person, the regret, the remorse, that you were with that person. And that keeps coming up in the back of your mind. You can focus on the present, you can focus on what needs to change, and you can talk about where the options are, and when you can come back, and or okay, let me call my guys, or let me make this call, let me climb up there. Like we start to work through it. If it's the transformation person, it's needing or getting the call saying, okay, I can meet you today, I can meet you after work, I can meet you at lunch, I can meet you. And it's working that part out. You're working that out because you also need to get that person's feedback and information, so you start to work on that plan. If it's the deception, the moon going into Scorpio is going to change the emotion. Now, the thing about whenever the moon was in Libra and we're in that deception energy is the fact that Libra is not a confrontational energy. It's not. And if Venus was in a Mars ruled sign at the moment, like if Venus was in Scorpio or if Venus was in Aries, that would change the game. But Venus isn't. Venus is in Gemini sign. It's in Mercury sign. So there's logic and there's talking, not arguing, talking. We don't address it first thing. We need time to process, and we need time to think about it, and we need time to deal with it. And we try to convince ourselves that we can deal with it later, or we can deal with it at the right time. But the thing is like, it's not going to be the right time. And there's going to be something for that the person that's going through the deception, that there's going to be some part of the fourth where like we go to work, we can't talk about it. We can't talk to our work bestie. We're trying to just focus. And just leave me alone right now. What's wrong with you, Moon Scorpio? I need space. Leave me alone. I just need to focus. Okay, fine. And as that day continues, we're going to get to a point of purge and release and emotions. And we've all done this before in one way, shape, or form. So I'm going to fast forward this by hour. This is going to get to right around 5 o'clock in the evening. Here is the moon. It's going to make a conjunction to the south node. It is the release. It is losing something. It is cutting something off. It is changing something. It is getting annoyed. It is letting something burst through. Now, the one difference between the moon's conjunction to the south node in this instance that we haven't really had in the months prior is that as we make this conjunction, we also have this trine from Saturn. You get to the end of the day, you haven't spoke to anybody all day, you have just been focused on your work, everybody's noticing that your demeanor is different, and you get called into the boss's office like, you want to talk? You okay? What's going on? And as soon as you don't have something to bury your head in, you start bawling your eyes out. You hit the point at the end of the day that you've been trying to avoid all day. If you don't get called in the boss's office, you get into the car, it's the end of the day, and then it hits you all of a sudden. You're just like, and you scream and you cry and you let it out. And the thing is, at this moment, what you need is for somebody to understand. That's the trine from Saturn. If you're sitting in your boss's office, they just asked you what's wrong, and that one little break just literally made you just full on tears come out. The support is from Saturn. If you got to your car and you're just bawling your eyes out, it's like, I need my sister, I need my best friend. I need Kiki. I need my mama. I need my grandma. I need somebody. I need somebody. And it's reaching out for the experience, the support. I need you. I need you. This has just happened. And the trine between the moon and Saturn is letting it go and getting the input, getting their feedback, getting that situation handled. If you're the regret person and you've been working at this house all day, you've been in this environment all day, you have been at Pluto's house since the moon squared Pluto. Your phone keeps going off, and every once in a while you answer, hey, this is, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You give the directions to the guys, and you've been doing all of it all day, but then every once in a while you look at your phone and you go, oh, and you put it back. And you don't even remark, and you don't even respond. And that's because that distractive Mars energy, Mars person, I'm going to keep referring to that as a Mars person, by the way, who isn't a part of any of these transits, just keeps bugging you. Hey, when are you going to be home? Hey, when are we going to do this? And you just get annoyed with the fact that you finally answer your phone, and you're like, I'm busy. Well, you don't have to be rude. Click. You want to throw your phone. But you're in Pluto's house. You're in Pluto's house. And Pluto is right there going, so what's that? What was that all about? Man, nothing. You know I know you better than that, right? Like, we've been friends since childhood. I know. You want to talk? Not really. Why not? Because you know too much. Because a lot of times that's just it. You know too much. But you can finally let a little bit go. You can ask questions. You can ask about the regret. You can talk about the regret. There's just that little bit of like understanding. You let the emotional release go. You growl at the phone going, stop calling me. And there's that other person going, you okay? You want to talk? No, not really. You should. Let's talk about it. And you can have that little bit of a purge. If you're the transformation person, you're giddy with excitement, you get it in your hand, and you're like, and instantly you go, shit. Now what do I do? Do I take it now? Do I cook it? Do I turn it into a tea? What do I do? And it's getting to a moment where you talk to your friend, or you talk to your significant other, or you talk to the person that you hooked you up with all this to begin with, and you get some experience from them. You get their experience. Like, well, I wouldn't do it tonight. You still got work tomorrow. You should probably do it tomorrow night, not tonight. Like, oh yeah, that's right. Or just do it this weekend. Like, do it on Saturday. Oh yeah. Like, you have this instant moment of fear, the moon's conjunction to the south node, and then you instantly need some support, some reassurance, some level of other energy on the outside that lets you know you're okay. It doesn't have to always be bad. The more in tune you are, in alignment you are with yourself, the moon's south node energy can be moments of peace. But you got to be super freaking in tune. Usually when the moon hits conjunction to the south node, it is letting you know, it's a trigger energy, and it's letting you know, like, we need to work on something, we need to go through something. If you've gone through a lot of it, this can just be like that instantaneous fear, crap, I got it, now what do I do? And you need that experience. You talk to somebody that's done it before, you're getting something, you're getting support, you're getting clarity, you're getting over it, you're screaming in the car, and you're getting something else with that trine from Saturn. Now, we're going to continue. We're going to continue because overnight, the moon in Scorpio is going to hit an opposition to Mercury, a very retrograde Mercury in Taurus. And remember, Mercury is in mutual reception to Venus. And the great thing is, by the time we hit the moon's opposition to Mercury, Venus has started to separate from Neptune, and she has just gone through the sextile to Jupiter. So we have a bit more of Jupiter's energy into Venus than we do Neptune. Not much. It is just a bit. We still have that element of nostalgia or regret or the past coming through. We have like that unsettledness or haziness, like we don't know how the effects are going to go, but we know that we are going to take this action. Jupiter, Aries, Pisces, Neptune. We know that we still have these feelings for somebody. We can't even deny it. We can't regret it, but we're confused on how we can approach that because we have another situation that we got to handle first. If it's the deception energy, it's being able to make a logical decision about everything that's just happened, and you're not going to let something continue to happen this way. It's very precise in this energy because we are building to an eclipse. We've gone over everything. We've gone backwards, forwards, trying to figure out who this is, what this is, how this happened, how did we get to this moment, how did we get to this energy. And again, we can be overthinking, but we are overthinking because of the emotions that have been triggered, because of what we have found, because of the lies, because of the deception, and we know we need to handle it. And now we need a plan. That's kind of that energy too. How do we move forward? How do we check in? How do we do this? Now, the moon's opposition to Mercury is going to happen specifically at 3 a.m. For some of us, we cried ourselves to sleep and we woke up just knowing, I'm done. For some of us, we go through that energy, we unblock, we go through somebody's feed, we have that trigger again come through, and we do another deep dive into it, like I said before. And the longer you connect to it, and the more you're reading and the more you're going through those pictures, the more those feelings are coming back up. And we have this need to change something. Even if it's not just an initial reconnect, we feel this need to change something. And that continues as we get into the eclipse energy. Now, on the 5th, the eclipse is going to perfect at 12:34 p.m. This is not that time. It says 12:08 on my screen. But here's here's the sun at 14 degrees of Taurus. Opposite of that is going to be the moon. This is going to perfect at 14 degrees and 58 minutes, which I'm just a hair off right here. Now, this full moon is not it's not squaring anything. It's not in a trine to anything. It's very much about what's going on and shifting something in Mars ruled signs. And this is why I don't want to deep dive into the eclipse in the weekly episode, because I feel like I need to do that on its own episode by itself, especially because there's so much other stuff that I feel like is coming through for people this week that is shaking them out of the fog, that I wanted to put more emphasis on, and I'm going to give that eclipse its own episode. So just to be clear about this. But the thing about eclipses and full moon eclipses is the fact that full moons are completions. They're letting something go. You have made the decision to go through this transformation. You're talking it out with your husband. You're working it out, like the kids are going to be gone. You've got a babysitter. They're going to grandma's house. And you're ready. That's what we feel like in one way. In another way, we feel like that Mars distractive energy, and this is going to be a little bit more based off sign. And whenever I do the rising signs, I'll go over that for those people. That distraction energy that has come through, that you have allowed to stay in the elements and stay in your energy for the last umpteen months, that is just getting more and more on your nerves every time they open their mouth. This full moon can be telling that person to kick rocks. Nah, I'm done with you. Would we do it during the eclipse? Probably not. We're going to do it after the eclipse? More than likely, and it would probably be more once the moon hits its opposition to Uranus. And that trine for Mars, just finally telling somebody off. And they're not going to expect it because they're not tuned in anyways. They're distractive Mars energy. So the moon's opposition to Uranus is literally just what I said. It's telling somebody to kick rocks, or it's being there when somebody else gets told to kick rocks. Like, it's that kind of thing. There is a completion. If it's the transformation, if it's the deception, we make the change. We make the emotional decision. The emotional decision results in things later. But again, I will do a separate video for the eclipse. The opposition to Uranus will perfect between 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. Central Time. So here's the moon right here. It's at 18 degrees and 39 minutes, 18 degrees and 42 minutes for Uranus. That's when that's going to be. And then later in the evening is when the moon is going to make that trine to Mars. And that happens more in regards to the 11:30, I'm rounding this now, 11:30 to 11 a.m. to 1 a.m. We'll do it that way. 11 a.m. to 1 a.m. So for some people, this is going to be like, as soon as you get home, somebody just, like, you walk in the door and somebody starts screaming at you and you're like, you know what, get out of my house and don't ever come back. Just whatever, I'm done with you. What? Like, you get into the tussle, you get into the arguing, you get into some frustration, but you're over it. You're so over it, it's unreal. As the day progresses on the 5th, as we continue to progress, Venus starts to separate more and more from Neptune. She's separating more from Jupiter, but once she gets past that 28-degree mark, and we get to that 29-degree mark, there's definitely something that's ending with Venus leaving Gemini. That happens. She technically changes signs. She's going to change signs on Sunday. However, we're getting to something Venusian ending very, very quickly in this energy. And for some of us, that is going to happen on Friday. For some of us, that's going to happen over the weekend. That's all going to come down to the human effect. I'm really putting more emphasis on when the exact transits are going to happen. For some people, the lingering that we needed to make the change, they're not going to do it on Friday. They're going to do it on Saturday or Sunday. Now, getting into Saturday morning, because now we're on the 6th, fast forwarding this to the early mornings, let me get over here. The moon is going to make a trine to Neptune. And this is literally how we wake up in the morning. This is 8 a.m. my time. The moon just hit 26 degrees. So between 7:45 and 10 a.m., the moon will trine Neptune and then immediately go void in this fixated Scorpio, just barely past the eclipse energy. And for a lot of people, Saturday is an emotional hangover. It's being stuck in our emotions. We hit that moon opposition to Uranus the night before and we broke up. We said it right then. I'm done. They bothered your phone all night. You put it on Do Not Disturb, but you woke up the next morning and you got 50 missed calls and 200 text messages. You've had him show up at your door in the middle of the night and he beat on the door and just angered everybody. He showed up at your door. You see it on your Ring doorbell, but you're at Kiki's house. Like, you see him, you see what he's doing. He's like in my way. He is in that doorbell screaming, "Hey!" And you ain't even there. You're at Kiki's house. Like, you're dealing with it. You're dealing with however you need to, but you're so done so fast, you didn't even realize it. You almost get whiplash because you're so done so fast, because you're realizing the deeper this goes, the longer this goes, just how far back the deception has been, or just how long this has been going on, or the whole reason you took off the weekend before all of this really came to the surface. The whole reason you took off for the weekend was because you needed to get a reset, and the whole time you thought the issue was you. It wasn't you, it was him. And then we get to the Saturday morning and we're just kind of in our feels, we're in our thoughts. If you did the experience the night before, then this is I'm still going to say hangover, but it's the spiritual hangover. It's after you had last night's experience. It's seeing your skin and your hands. It's experiencing it. If you didn't do it the night before, maybe you're doing it Saturday morning. And that's the moon's trine to Neptune. It's like you and your significant other laying in the living room floor listening to meditation music on YouTube, but enjoying your medicine because you want this experience. You want to know what this is going to feel like because you think it's going to restore certain amounts of hope, certain good feelings inside of you. So you decide to do it the next morning. Kids are gone. We're going to do it. We're doing it. And we're super excited. For some people, Saturday is an emotional hangover. For some people, it's that spiritual in your feels. There's not a lot of heaviness to Saturday. It is the aftermath. It is the sit and smoke a blunt and just like I need a minute. What just happened? Everything happened. Everything happened. Everything happened overnight. Everything happened this week. We were getting engaged. We were supposed to get married. Now I don't know, but I'm done. That's what we know for sure. For a lot of people, like we're still confused. We're still hanging in the moment. We're still dealing with it, but we know we're done. We get that call again from the person that, you just told the night before that you're done and you never want to see them again. Get out of my house, quit bothering me. Or you get a call from somebody else going, they don't know what's wrong. And they're like, you know what? I don't care. I'm done. I'm sick of their shit. You've seen how they act. I'm done with their actions. I'm not doing it anymore. And we're ending something by the end of the week. A lot of people are ending something. A lot of people, in other ways, are just there to support somebody else as they're ending something. So we're helping our friend try to reconnect with some level of time that they regret acting a certain way. Or we're there with our cousin because of the eyelashes and everything else that's come through, and they just keep going over it. And we give them their moment to have their emotions. And I'm telling you, give them their moment to have their emotions. They're going to have it. There's an emotion roller coaster level energy. And this is like right when we get to the edge of the roller coaster and we're taking that long stretch to like slow down. This is the end of the roller coaster ride. Slowing down right here. Now, the moon's going to be void for most of the day. Around 3 o'clock, that's when the moon is going to go into Sagittarius. It's immediately going to hit a sextile to Pluto. It's going to be like you've let them be in their emotions all day. They've locked themselves in the room. If you hear one more Lana Del Rey song, you're going to blow your top. So you go in there going, let's go get some food. You just walk in the door, moon, sextile Pluto. You, mirror, food. We're getting pizza. Come on. I don't want to eat. I don't care. Get out of bed now. Sometime between the moon's sextile to Pluto to the moon's square to Saturn, which is actually going to happen later in the evening, it's somebody walking in there when you're in your depressive mode going, you, clothes on, food, now, come on. You, we're going somewhere. We're going fishing. Get in the truck. Come on. You, out on the patio. We got music. We got beer. Come on. Like it's something to break us out of the deep. If you did the experience, if you did that in the morning and you get to the later part of the day and everything's starting to wear off, and again, it's seeing the colors differently. It's seeing these things differently. It's feeling that release in your body, like sudden tensions that have just, like, you've got the knot underneath your shoulder blade that's this freaking big that nobody can get to because it's under your shoulder blade. But then the next morning you're like, oh my God, I feel so much better. I feel like every single one of my muscles just went through this whole taffy pulling effect. And I just feel so much release. And it's just feeling this renewed hope and feeling that change and feeling that you just did a transformation, but not fully understanding what you just experienced. And it's kind of going back over that, and it's kind of writing things down or just sitting in the moment and listening to the music and talking about what you saw and how that went. and sharing that with another person, or sharing that with a person that did it with you. And you're saying your events and they're saying their events, and that there's not a heaviness to Saturday at all. I'm all about Saturday. Now we're going to get into Sunday. I know this is a longer weekly episode, but I feel a lot of things are going to happen this week that just shifts a lot of things down. So let me back this up a few hours, not minutes. Let's get to, I want to get to here. Okay. 7 a.m. It's not about the 7 a.m. It's the fact that this is the end of Venus in Gemini. So I wanted to look at that part first. Venus is now 3 degrees away from Neptune. We have a lot more clarity and a lot more understanding. And again, the decision, we're ending something, we're letting something go because of this deception, because of this fog, because of this. And we feel supported in our actions because of Jupiter. Kiki was there. She's like, you know what? We're going to go have brunch. We're going to have a self-care day. We ain't talking about no boy. We ain't talking about any boys. We're going to do us. You go take a shower, and you got 20 minutes. Nobody gets ready in 20 minutes. You got 20 minutes. She's going to take longer than 20 minutes. We all take longer than 20 minutes, but still. You got 20 minutes, girl. Go get ready. You told the person off, your best friend's over, and you finally like told them about where your emotions have been and why you told them off. I'm like, look, I've had I've had regrets, I made a mistake. And even that was a mistake. That was another mistake on top of the other mistake I made. And we're finally able to like voice something in a way. We're over something, and we're trying finally able to voice it. And we're voicing it because we just got triggered, and we just went back to that place, and we just had that moment that took us back repeatedly to that situation. And the thing that keeps playing in your head was that whenever you shared that conversation with that old friend that is tied to both you and the regret person, is that they even told you didn't mess up as much as you think you did. But you don't know what to do with that. And it takes you a few days to figure that out. You ain't doing anything on this day, but you're talking about it. And you're feeling like you can maybe put something correct. You don't know how quite yet, but you feel like you could. And that getting correct, that self-care with your cousin, with Kiki taking you to go, you know what? We are going to get eyelashes. We're going to get some fake ones that we can just take off tonight. And we're going to take all of our selfies in eyelashes. I can't do that. I got glasses. Put your contacts on. We're doing it today. We're doing this today. We're doing something today. We're doing this because after Venus leaves Gemini, she's going to go into Cancer. And Venus loves Cancer. This is her jam. This is every bathhouse, with every substance, with every drink, with every fruit, with everything. It's all the things. Venus goes into Cancer, and for a single moment, we feel like certain things can go right for a little bit. We feel better. We feel relief. Venus goes into Cancer. She's in her exaltation. And we can feel restored very quickly once Venus goes into Cancer. The way she goes through this area, the way that she starts to like reconnect us with certain emotions that we needed to reconnect to, but the only way to reconnect to them was to cut off the disruption, the distraction, the thing we didn't want anymore, the thing we didn't need anymore. The cutoff was necessary so the connection could start again, could happen again. Do you still have the chance of the disruptive ex doing something or saying something and coming back around in some way? Of course. They can always pop back up. Mercury's still retrograde, but the dynamic of Mercury's retrograde changes when Venus leaves Mercury and goes into Cancer. Mutual reception ends, and it changes the dynamic. And the way that we go through next week, the last week of this Mercury retrograde, is a whole different ball game compared to the first 2 weeks of it. We're getting to a certain energy. We got to get through the funk. We got to break certain ties. We got to shake people loose. We got to push people away. We got to clear our ledger this week before we can actually get to that point, that moment, that energy. I'm going to stop this share. There's a lot of energy this week. Now, I want to play devil's advocate when it comes to the substance issue, because I was looking at regret and deception, and the last thing I wanted to do was something negative whenever it comes to substance. We all know that when it comes to addiction and things like that, substance can be a whole different ballgame. I tried to use that in the positive light here, but not everybody's going to have that kind of light. And I need to be real clear about something. The Venus-Neptune square can make somebody want to drink away their emotions. It can make people want to drown reality with something else. It can, if you're a video game person, it can be literally, I'm going to be on my video games all week. I'm not even going to take my head out from underwater because I don't want to be in reality. For other people, it's going to be like, I just had heartbreak. I just had the worst thing in the world. And the Neptune energy is drowning in our emotions with certain things, drinks. You know where I'm going with that. And I want to be very clear about that part. It's not all going to be sunshine and rainbows, but for a lot of my people that I've been doing individual coaching sessions with, that transformation example has been reoccurring quite frequently. And I've literally had people doing that experience during eclipse season. So I felt like it was a good example to give for a more positive way to view this eclipse. There is something at the start of this week that we are not clear on, that we don't have all the answers to, that is going to require new information, education. It's going to require input from friends that gives certain information. Like, we don't have the full clarity of something when this week starts. But once we get through the eclipse, we get clarity on something. We see an adjustment. We see a change, whether it's within ourselves, whether it's within other people. It kind of depends on where we're at in the ball game. But there is definitely a transformation and a change to this week that can't be denied. In one way, shape, or form, it can't be denied. And like I said, whenever I put all this together, I went with 3 examples that felt very consistent to real life scenarios coming through. You can see a mix of any of these 3. You can see the negative side of the Venus Neptune with substance, and you might have to check somebody about their substance issue. And I don't want to deny that. But I didn't want to have that 3rd example also be negative. There can be positivity to a full moon eclipse. Most people, it is a level up. It is a completion. It is getting something out of the way because we've had so much distractible energy. And the thing is, that's what Mars is good at, is distractions. We are going into Mars ruled eclipses after a Mars retrograde. There's been a lot of distractions that now need to be dealt with because they're not where we're going next. They're not a part of where we go next. We use them in that moment to get through, to heal, to, again, distract ourselves. But the thing about those temporary energies is they are temporary. They're temporary to get us through. They're like a life vest in a lot of ways. Now it's time to take the vest off. It's time to take off the training wheels. It's time to address some things that we've been pushing back. And that starts after the eclipse. Before we can address those things, we have to clear the ledger. We have to clear some things up. We have to separate. We have to make some changes. For a lot of people, this week has abrupt changes, changes that are very, very necessary that we would not have seen coming because Neptune's influence is so hard to deny in this moment. All right, guys. I love and appreciate every single one of you. I hope this is helpful. Like I said, I will do another video that is specific to the eclipse. I didn't want to be very heavy on the eclipse this week because I feel like the other transits involved this week have a bigger element to play that results in what happens during the eclipse. And I wanted to put more emphasis onto them. So again, I love and appreciate every single one of you. Message me with questions. I do read the comments. It just takes me time to get back to everybody. And then here pretty soon, I will be reopening my entire book of business to accepting appointments. I'm letting everybody know that now. It's probably going to be after eclipse season. Let's be fair, because I have booked a few during eclipse season, but like it's been taking me a week to even get to like one. So I'm not ready yet. Eclipse season is so busy and it's so hectic every single time. So it makes things a little bit hard. So I'm anticipating at the end of eclipse season, so that we'll say that just the start of Gemini season, I feel like that's when I'll be opening my books up full time again, just to kind of give everybody an idea of where we're going. So I will talk to everybody soon. Thank you so much. I love you guys, and subscribe.